let's start things off with Caleb Williams as we kick off our opening drive, brought to you by Chevy. This is our first down.
I know what losing looks like. I know what winning looks like in this league. We haven't won the big one yet, but, we won a bunch of games last year. We lost a lot of games my first year. And then now having year two in the offense, a lot more confidence in what I'm saying to the guys out there. It's starting to sound more like the coaches, the steps, the alignments, and things like that. So just finding ways to be more on top of that, day in and day out, being able to help those guys whenever they ask a question. And then from there, just leading by example is one of the biggest ones. I've always said that. And then lastly, when something needs to be spoken about or said to a teammate or a coach, if we're having an issue as a team, be able to go to them and speak to the coaches or speak to the team.
Was summer break 6 weeks or 6 years? Because Caleb Williams seems to even have grown up, even just from when we talked to him at OTAs, guys. His growth as a leader, not only on the football field, but even just today at the podium, is evident.
That was so obvious today. You love to see it. If you're a Bears fan, you have to be excited about the growth that Caleb Williams has shown off the field heading into year three. You're going to see it on, because those two things are connected. And he talked about leading by example, Clay. That's what the great ones do. That's what seems to come so naturally to Caleb Williams. He's in command, and he is just picking up where he left off last year when he really impressed people with his poise and a polish.
I think the best teams do have a quarterback that is the leader. I've been on teams that don't. I've been on teams that do. When you're with New England, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and the Saints, when the quarterback's the leader, your team's better. When the quarterback is a guy that gets there early, stays late, comes out to practice early, does all those things, guess what? It makes the other players want to do the same thing. When the quarterback brings guys in to watch more tape, when the quarterback stays after and wants to throw, that's what you want. That's what leadership is in leading by example, and now he's being a little more vocal. When Cleve Raymond says, hey, everybody's looking at you, make sure that your body language, your posture is right. He's learning all this on the fly, and you can tell out there on the field he's so confident in himself that now it's transferring over to being a great leader.
And dare I say it, he looks like he's in the best shape of his life.
They said he lost around 10 to 15 pounds this offseason. That's something he's working on so he can be a little smoother, a little more mobile. I thought he looked pretty good last year when it came to running around, but that's something that he's working on. He also maybe lost a couple of pounds in facial hair. Like he's groomed. Like he's really coming into his own, and it's really nice to see. There's a confidence that comes with that. And I know I'm not just talking about physically, but I do think that's part of it. Look good, feel good, play good.
Tightening things up all the way around. And I think when you hear him talk, you also realize that unlike last year at this time, he's not worried about learning a new offense, getting to know a new head coach, and trying to be something to teammates who are looking at him. Now that's just so much more natural. And the language that they're speaking in terms of the offense is second nature. Yeah. And there's not that kind of learning curve that you have to see.
And when you have success, it's much easier to be a leader. It's much easier to be a coach, to give advice. When you're not having success, that's tough. And the players have seen him having success. The man cover, all the things he's been able to do, the game-winning drives. Now they trust him. They see what he's doing. They say, I want to be good like him, so they follow him.
It's not blind faith. It's shared experiences.
And there's a resiliency, I think, that comes with the Caleb Williams experience because of what he went through his rookie season. It really doesn't get much worse than what he experienced his rookie year. So there's a maturity that I think comes with that, and everyone around him has watched him overcome what he went through, and I think that's significant in and of itself. All right, let's switch sides of the ball and talk about defense here a little bit, because Dennis Allen had some high praise for Coby Bryant and what he can mean for this defensive identity in 2026.
I love his play style. I think it epitomizes the way that we want to play the game. He plays fast. He plays violent. He's smart. He's instinctive. He just does a lot of really good things.
Honestly, it's just a blessing coming from him, honestly. Ton of respect from DA, honestly. And that's, why I'm here, to, bring guys along. We got a ton of great players throughout this team, especially on defense as well. And, we want to be well known as not just, Coach Ben and the offense, but especially, powerful in defense as well, too. We want to create our name as far as the turnovers, the play style, the mentality. That's something that we want to bring to this team.
High praise from Dennis Allen, and then obviously a lot of appreciation for that praise coming from Coby Bryant. What's the one thing we want to see from Coby Bryant on the field and that Dennis Allen wants to see in order for this defense to have a better season than it did last year?
I think you need him to be disruptive, and I think you want to see him fly around, play downhill, as they say, make sure tackles, and make sure that when he is in coverage that obviously he's responsible. But I think what you look for just intangibly is that spark, is that energy, and that kind of it's an intangible that's hard to describe, but that's why they got him. He's a winner. He's coming off a Super Bowl season, and I think you want to see that leadership.
It's not hard to describe. Ben Johnson already described it. They want a trained killer, and that's what you want to see from Coby Bryant, a guy that flies downhill, that makes big hits. But the thing I like most about him in college and his early in the NFL, this guy was a slot cornerback. He played some cornerback. Now he's a safety. He's a matchup problem for offenses. You are not going to be able to get an advantage if you have him on the tight end, if you have him on a slot receiver. He can do both. Now you can send more blitzes. You can send nickel blitzes. You can send your other safety, Dylan Thieneman, on a blitz, and he will be able to hang in coverage against a wide receiver because he's so versatile. And then bring that standard, that championship standard that you had last year in Seattle. Let the players know what it takes to be the best in the world, and that's something that I think he will do day in and day out and show his habits and routine.
It's vague, but you hear Ben Johnson talk about it sometimes. You want to feel him during games. You're not going to see the takeaway numbers that you saw a year ago. That's really unrealistic to expect because there was maybe a fluky nature, and no two seasons are alike. But the Bears could be more sound in the secondary, maybe more violent in terms of hitting with Coby Bryant playing free safety.
Quickly, give me one word. Last year, the defense could have been summarized with the word takeaways. What will the defense be summarized this year in one word? Ooh, I like that.
Fundamental. What was Dennis Allen talking about? Fundamental. I don't turn on that tape, and I don't see any defensive linemen that I'm scared of. If they're fundamental, they run at the football, you can still be successful.
I asked for one word, Clay.
I gave you
me like 3 sentences. My word would be speed.
I went to state.
That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our third down of this opening drive. There are a couple of guys that are playing for their second contracts this upcoming season, Tyrique Stevenson being one of them. Here's what Dennis Allen had to say about him.
I think he can be a starting caliber corner in our league. And I think he can be a starting caliber corner for us. Same thing we just talked about there. It's the same thing with Tyrique. Tyrique needs to be more consistent. There's plays, I could make you a tape of Tyrique from last season that you would look at and say, whoo, that's pretty freaking good, you know? But it's the lapses in consistency that we have to improve on.
I love it. 2026, it's a big year for a lot of guys, especially the players selected in the Bears 2023 draft class who are entering the final year of their rookie deals. And while it would be a surprise if an extension doesn't get done with first-round pick Darnell Wright, second-round picks Tyrique Stevenson, Gervon Dexter, those are guys looking for a big season as they're trying to get that second contract. If it's not here, they still got to play for it with somebody. Who are you higher on going forward, guys? Tyrique Stevenson or Gervon Dexter?
Tyrique Stevenson, I think. Definitely, because when he is playing at that level, and it's up to the coaches like Dennis Allen and Al Harris to get him to maintain that consistency, but that's the only thing lacking. When he plays at a high level, he is more than a starting caliber cornerback. He's a difference maker, Clay, and I think that when you look at what he's capable of, it's not can he do it, it's how do you get him to do that every quarter of every game, every week.
That's the problem for me, Gervon Dexter. He's a guy that was an actual starter, didn't lose his job to a guy that they let walk out the door for a $5 million contract. Gervon Dexter, how old is Jordan Vandenberg, the rookie? Quick guess, somebody.
24.
24. How old is Gervon Dexter?
25.
24. Okay, this guy is still a young guy with a high ceiling. He's had 11 sacks total in the last 2 years. He was 19th in PFF pass rush grade and pressure rate. So this is a guy that can get to the quarterback. What he needs to improve on is obviously his consistency and the run game, getting off the ball, taking on blocks. I'm still high on this guy, long arms. He was built in the lab. He's a guy that has really good athleticism for his size. He could have a breakout year and get a huge deal. He is that talented, and if that happens, I would not be shocked just because of the ability that he has.
I think that in the secondary that Tyrique Stevenson has an opportunity to remove some of the doubts about that one position. I think Terrell Smith is a guy you have to keep an eye on and provide good competition, but Tyrique Stevenson hopefully can feel that heat and use it because he does like to play with a chip on his shoulder.
All right, let's go to our fourth down of this opening drive. We'll go back to offense, and we'll go back to quarterback Caleb Williams, who we think may have been watching our show. Take a listen.
Yeah, he become the best tight end in the league. I think he is. but stats and us going out there and proving it is what it's going to take. And to be able to do that, we got to put in work. We got to build the connection, hang out inside and outside the building, have tough conversations or have open communication, throughout the year and throughout camp. And so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. He's an easy target to throw to, and I got a bunch of those guys out there that's equipped and ready to go.
Caleb Williams talking about Colston Loveland being the best tight end in the National Football League. Clay, what do you have to say about that?
It's hard to argue with him. When you got a 6'6", 260-pound guy that can move like a wide receiver and block like an offensive tackle, it's hard to say otherwise. You look at him from week 9 to 18. I always talk about this. 47 receptions, 4th in the NFL, 597 receiving yards, 2nd in the NFL, 6 touchdowns, 3rd in the NFL for tight ends. Second half of the year, you saw that trajectory. Guess what? He had 198 yards in 2 playoff games. He played the best in the biggest games. He can run routes. He gets in and out of break. He catches balls. He blocks like an offensive tackle. He gives effort. I think absolutely best all-around tight end in the league is this guy's ceiling.
By the way, you just saw him there standing next to Braxton Jones. The size difference is not that crazy, which is unbelievable.
He looks great.
To say.
He looks big, and nobody knows Colston Loveland stats like Clay Harbor. And I think you've been on it from day one, and I think that Caleb Williams did confirm a lot of those expectations that they're internal as well. I also like this about Caleb. Back to him for a moment.
Yeah.
He talked about Colston Loveland. He was asked a question about him, and he brought it back to everybody. He was like a parent talking about his kids. You don't want to have a favorite child.
Yep.
But maybe you do, but maybe you don't. But you want to include everybody and make them feel loved.
David, that's a great point, and I didn't really think about that from his press conference today until just now. You brought it up, and Caleb Williams talked about in one of our previous downs just on this show about how he feels like he's starting to sound more like a coach, and that comes with his leadership. Coaches never want to talk about one individual player. They always want to bring it back to that whole room or that whole group. Whenever you ask about a Luther Burden, you talk about all the guys in that room. Whenever you talk about Gervon Dexter, you talk about all the guys in the room. Caleb Williams did exactly that today. That's leadership.
Constant awareness, and that self-awareness is that next step.